Today, I want to share with you all one idea. And I'll share this idea in 3 different ways, because I know things take time to process. Dance, whether it's ballet or hip hop, is transforming lives around the world. The first way I'll share this story is through my story. When we're born, when you were born, when you were born, when you were born, based on the conditions that we were born into, society had a certain story written for us. A story that would make sense with where we come from. When I was born, society had a story written for me that would make sense. A story that would make sense for the child of a mother who got pregnant with him when she was 15. 1-5. A story that would make sense for the child of immigrants to the US who were forced out of their country, Colombia, because of political violence. A story that would make sense for a child who grew up in a trailer park and whose family used food stamps because we needed help to afford the basics and peanut butter. However, my story turned out a little different than one that would necessarily make sense with where I come from. My parents are not college graduates. However, I'm standing here as a college graduate, as a graduate of Harvard University. My parents' first jobs when we moved to the US were selling roses at stoplights, mowing lawns, washing dishes at an Italian restaurant, cleaning mansions. However, for my first job this year at 23, I was deciding between offers from Google, LinkedIn, Microsoft, and a master's program at the University of Cambridge. Now, I think about this, and I know that what allowed me to take control of my story was ballet. You know, this kind. When I was 13, I got this spark, pretty randomly, to dance ballet. Through the help of the internet, I went in there, did a couple searches, and I saw that ballet was out of my family's reach financially. Ballet classes, expensive. Ballet clothes, ballet tights, expensive. That literal thong that men in ballet wear to keep everything in place, yeah, there's no good hand gesture for that. Even those and their lack of fabric, expensive. Ballet was out of my reach until I found, again through the beauty of the internet, a conservatory in South Miami that offered full scholarships to kids from families who couldn't afford ballet classes. This was the Thomas Armour Youth Ballet, and this was where, at the age of 13, I took my first ballet class. This was where, after my dad and I spoke with the director, Miss Ruth Wiesen, for about 10 minutes, she offered me a full scholarship. At the age of 13, I walked into ballet class and took my first ballet class, started dancing, just because I wanted to dance. There was no ulterior motive. However, after I kept going to class a little more, I started noticing that I stopped walking into ballet class, and I started running into ballet class. Okay, yeah, so part of this is I'm Latino, so I was literally running late. Some of you might understand, but metaphorically, I was running to ballet because ballet became the place where I could run away. Ballet became the place where I could, on one hand, leave everything at the door, outside. On the other hand, ballet became the place where I could bring my struggles in, and I could confront everything that I was dealing with. With each plie, with each tendu, I was able to confront the shame and the anger that I felt. In elementary school, when I was in my physical education class, and I saw my dad on the other side of the gate mowing the lawn. And I turned away because I didn't want my friends to know that that was my father. With each plie, with each tendu, I confronted the shame, the anger that I felt in 7th grade when I was walking down the hallway with 2 of my best friends, and one of my classmates threw a basketball at my head on purpose. Now, ballet class is a very quiet space. Usually, you can't talk unless you're asking questions, so it's a very personal experience where I could step out of the world and into my soul. At an age where my classmates were experimenting with drugs and sex, ballet became the high, the passion, the escape that I was searching for. Now, the second way that I'm going to share with you this idea of dance transforming lives is through the Christmas ballet, The Nutcracker. So for those of you who haven't seen it, for those of you who fell asleep, my grandma still thinks I didn't see her. I'm going to give you a little high-level summary. So in the first act, there's a Christmas party. The main character, Clara, gets a Nutcracker doll. She falls asleep. She has a dream that the Nutcracker comes to life, and he battles and defeats the Rat King. In the second act, the Nutcracker is now a prince, and he goes with Clara to the kingdom of the sweets. Now, in the kingdom of the sweets, they are celebrated. You have all these foods that are dancing for them. Chocolate does the Spanish dance, tea does the Chinese dance, and we're going to overlook the racial assumptions for now. But I'm telling you all of this because 3 months, just 3 months after I took my first ballet class, Miss Ruth Wiesen called me into her office, and she offered me the role of the Nutcracker Prince. Now, this is not the most technically advanced role, but come on, the ballet is named after my role. Now imagine a kid who grew up in a trailer park, whose family used food stamps, who was bullied in school. In this ballet, in the Nutcracker, he transforms into a prince. He battles and defeats something evil. He goes into a palace. He is celebrated in the kingdom of the sweets. Foods dance for him. Now, this was a very powerful experience for me. Ballet taught me to roll my shoulders back, to lift my chin, and that even I, a Latino from a low-income background, even I belonged in the kingdom of the sweets. Now, the third way that I'm going to share this idea of dance transforming lives around the world is through dancing in Miami, in the Philippines, and in Kenya. Dance, for me, throughout high school was such an impactful experience that I've dedicated the past 5 years to seeing dance education in action around the world. This started in 2012 after graduating from high school here in Miami, where I worked with a program called Ailey Camp Miami that is a fully funded summer dance camp for kids from low-income backgrounds. And through this program here in Miami, I saw how dance was giving these kids a purpose, where staying engaged during the summer usually means being able to have access to summer camps, being able to afford summer classes. This program was giving these kids an activity, getting them off of the streets and into creative places. In 2014, I found myself in Manila, the capital city of the Philippines, where I was teaching hip-hop class to kids. Half of the kids in my class were returning to the streets where they lived after class. In Manila, I was working with homeless children who are forced to grow up immediately because of the conditions that they live in, to survive these conditions. However, during my class, I was able to see how dance was allowing them to be kids, was allowing them to be living out their childhoods, was allowing them to forget what was happening out there and just be present as kids in here. Now, this past summer, I found myself in Nairobi, the capital city of Kenya, in a community called Mathare, also known as one of the largest slums in Africa. Let me show you around.
Okay. Tutakuwa pale. Pale mbele, tutakuwa pale. Hey. Enda. Tembea. Hey, kidogo tu. Tunaingia hapo. Mambo? Niko poa.
Now, through this video, we see that there's a lot of struggle. But this is not a community to look down upon because there are many inspiring things that we can learn from in this community. In the heart of Mathare, we have a K-8 school called Valley View Academy, where I worked at for 2 months. And in this school, one of their missions, the part of their vision, is to help transform the negative attitudes that many have towards children living in the slum. And part of how they do that is every Friday, with the help of 2 nonprofits, Anos Africa and One Fine Day, they transform the school into a hub for the arts. In one classroom, you have creative writing. In another, you have theater. In another, you have choir. But what has gained this school international recognition is that in conditions like we just saw in this video, these kids are having access to ballet, an art form that is seen as elite, an art form that is seen as inaccessible to those in the lowest rung of society. Now, I can tell you all about this program and how amazing it is and how inspirational it really is, or I can show you the effect that dance is having on these kids. Take a look.
And run slowly. 2, 3, 4. And now.
Ballet inaniweka me feel like a superstar.
Dance made me to feel very good and I felt from nobody to somebody. Dance inanimake nikuwe hata proud kwangu. Najua inaweza nifikisha mahali.
Mamangu hakukuwa anajua ballet, alikuwa ananiambia nitoke, nikakata. Vile jana niliona akani understand.
That is the pride I have, that these children can get to realize the challenges they are facing and find a solution.
Dance in the form of ballet is transforming lives of the kids in the slums of Nairobi, Kenya. Dance is taking kids around the world from danger to dancer. Dance is saving the lives of kids around the world, including the one standing in front of you today. My token out of poverty, my token out of danger was becoming a dancer. But there are still countless kids out there, millions of kids, who are still living in danger. So you know what we have to do. We have to make sure that these kids have access, either start having access or continue having access to dance education, so that they can learn to take control of their stories, so that they can learn that they too, no matter what conditions they come from, they too belong in the kingdom of the sweets. Thank you.